Brought to you by PrayLatin.com, makers of prayer cards featuring complete English phonetic renderings of Latin pronunciations.
It's always a good thing when the Pope speaks about the Virgin Mary and promotes what sounds like a fairly Catholic understanding of the Virgin Mary, at least on a surface-level superficial reading. Pope Leo XIV gave some what sound like very wise and comforting words about the Virgin Mary. Keeping in mind, we just had a Marian feast day, the Nativity of the Virgin Mary, just a few days ago. It's expected that he would speak. Now, unfortunately, on his social media, he posted that basically a prayer for her intercession in the conflicts around the world, which is, while definitely a good thing to do, on the Nativity of the Virgin Mary, that is a bit of let's leaving a little something out of the equation. Here we're going to go to some more words of maybe wisdom, maybe, from the Pope on the Virgin Mary. From UCA News, headline, Pope, Church needs to promote greater understanding of Mary. Pope Leo XIV spoke during an audience with some 600 scholars attending a conference on Mariology. The Church needs to work on the understanding of Mary, teaching it, also combating what Protestants say we do. We don't worship the Virgin Mary. Prayer is actually not necessarily an act of worship. I know that's a shocker to people who aren't Catholic, but worship is sacrifice. That's the Catholic understanding of worship. And so no matter how much you tell us that by praying to saints, we worship them, not in the Catholic understanding of worship. The not Catholic Christian understanding of worship generally is a very modern innovation in that understanding, a twisting of the language and turning it to something else, to mean something else than it has always meant. Now you might think, well, why is this story kind of a red flag? Well, I will show you, because what does they mean by understanding? We'll go from here. Quote, in his address, Pope Leo underlines the Pontifical Academy's importance as being, quote, a forum for thought, spirituality, and dialogue, tasked with coordinating the studies and scholars of Mariology in the service of a genuine and fruitful Marian piety. The Virgin Mother, Mary, Mother of the Church, teaches us to be the holy people of God, he said. Mary is always ready to respond by first listening to the word, he said. He highlighted St. Augustine's warning against praying to Mary to hear what one wants to by quoting the saint. All consult you about what they want, but they do not always hear the answer they want. Your most faithful servant is the one who does not seek to hear from you what he wants, but rather to hear what he hears, but rather to want what he hears from you. And then it goes on to this. Mary is a synodal woman, he said, because she is, quote, fully and maternally engaged in the action of the Holy Spirit, who summons those who previously believed they had reasons to remain divided due to mutual distrust and even enmity as brothers and sisters. A church with a Marian heart always better preserves and understands the hierarchy of truths of faith, integrating mind and heart, body and soul, universal and local, person and community, humanity and cosmos, Pope Leo said. It is a church that does not shy away from asking herself, others, and God uncomfortable questions. How shall this be? And to walk with demanding paths of faith and love, he said. A Marian piety and practice oriented toward the service of hope and consolation frees us from fatalism, superficiality, and fundamentalism. Hello, Francis. It takes all human realities seriously, starting with the least and the discarded. It contributes to giving voice and dignity to those who are sacrificed on the altars of ancient and new idols, he said. Since the vocation of the Mother of the Lord is understood as the vocation of the Church, he said, Marian theology has a task of cultivating in all the people of God, first of all, a willingness to start afresh with God, his word, and the needs of our neighbor with humility and courage. It must also cultivate the desire to walk toward the unity that flows from the Trinity, in order to bear witness to the world, to the beauty of faith, the fruitfulness of love, and the prophecy of hope that does not disappoint, he added. Contemplating the mystery of God and history of Mary's inner gaze protects us from the distortions of propaganda, ideology, and unhealthy information, which can never speak a disarmed and disarming world, and opens us to divine gratuitousness, which alone makes it possible for people, populations, and cultures to walk together in peace, he added. This is why the Church needs Mariology. It should be considered and promoted in academic centers, shrines and parish communities, associations and movements, institutes of consecrated life, as well as in places where contemporary cultures are forged, valuing the limitless inspiration offered by art, music, and literature. End quote. Now that's interesting. Mary is a synodal woman. Now, he included a lot of things that are absolutely true in Catholic teaching, but errors are never easily sold to people and not surrounding them with truth. This is why many of us are watching carefully for what he says next. Let me know what you think of this in the comments, please. Like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help. Sharing this on social media helps too. Please pray for Pope Leo. I'm not trying to make you angry at him. Pray for him. For anybody else that we may have spoken about today in a negative way. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, pray for the church, because the church is in crisis and does need your prayers. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.